This podcast features adults using adult language. Also, we are doing this primarily for fun. We have no intention to make any money off of it, and we're not sponsored by Wizards of the Coast or Nintendo. This is just us having fun in the world of Zelda with D&D. But enough of this legal disclaimer nonsense. It's now time to indulge in adventure. It is now time to read upon the Hyrule Chronicles. Wait, do you read something that you listen to? I don't know. Hello dear friends, and welcome back to another episode of Hyrule Chronicles. This is episode 4. I am your GM, ArticulateT, and joining me today is SteveTheSeregios playing Sho Daius.
Yari.
I also have Alvarance playing as Hikan.
Yosh.
And I finally have TheNetherlad playing as Renji, son of Nihilus.
Ikuzo.
Yes.
Why? So I have like, Yosh, Ikuzo, Yari, eat me!
I don't know, we have a theme going on.
Sheikah is now Japanese, confirmed.
We're gonna, see mate, we're gonna go down and watch the Ruggers, buddy. You wanna come with?
Oh dear. Anyway, so who wants to do the recap for the last episode?
Last time on Dragon Ball Zelda. Yes, that's the thing. Now, I made it so.
Yes.
We went and dealt with these jank-ass bandits. We went there. Turns out, the level head, the level head of the party, which is actually technically the least level head, drunk child, who gave this kid alcohol, I swear. Whose child is this? Why am I looking after children? Goddamn. Decided not to kill these people, and it was a good thing. We ended up just beating the fuck and knocking them out. And then the leader of the bandits, Brigston, he showed up. We ended up having to come to a mutual agreement. Alright, we came here to go fucking deal with the Gerudo lady that may have been causing shit. Turns out she had been, but we needed more evidence. Turns out the place that they were holed up in the keep has a basement. We went down there, dealt with some fucking spiders. We found out there was fucking dramatic spiders. They all died in like one hit. Except for a buddy over here who punched one in the fucking eyes. Thwack. And we found out we got a journal from this Gerudo lady who's scarpered and headed up to the woods north of the keep that we were at, and just some ley lines, and she's gonna fucking try and summon some dark shenanigans that is probably not beneficial to anyone involved.
Especially not us.
Especially not us. Also, fucking there's a zombie there, white, and bitch got slain by, funnily enough, good old Twilight boy over here. So I bet his anonymous benefactor is sat there absolutely foaming with the mouth right now. And at the end of the episode, we ended up leaving. We managed to gain a bag of holding, and that's what we got from the first dungeon, which is like 2 rooms. We got a bag of holding, yay! And we got the notes back, and we got the astrolabe. Also, because we found that ring, we didn't actually cover it over in the episode. Character Sho, I decrypted it and used identify because, I just spent time just looking over it. And it's a ring of jumping. Right now, it's currently on, I don't know, who's taking it? Because I don't need it. Bladesong makes me fucking fast as shit anyways. Put it on the monk so we can fucking jump up and drop kick people from like 20 meters away.
Yes.
It's fucking hilarious.
I agree.
Just start the combat, activate the fucking jump, and then during all of your turns, it's like fly over, Superman punch.
Who says white-haired man can't jump?
Who says Sheikahs can't jump? And I believe that was everything.
Yeah, that
So,
seems pretty succinct.
The lads on tour +1 are heading over to deal with this fucking Gerudo shenanigans that be happening.
Yes, indeed. Heading over to the north in order to deal with these final things. It's starting to get somewhat into the late afternoon, early evening. The sky changing from a pleasant blue to a kind of a dull orange sort of color. And heading northwards, you believe you might be finding the way to it, but I'd like people to make survival checks to make sure that they're going in the right direction.
Before this all, oh respected dungeon master,
Uh-huh.
are we crossing paths with where we came from Riggensted to here with the cart of the scholars?
Not directly, but you can. But it's not too far away. You can make a detour if you'd like.
I do suggest that to the others, saying like, I mean, we do have this bag now, and the notes are not too cumbersome. I would think that if we keep all of the notes, especially the ones that we found at the cart, in one place, that would help the scholars quite a bit.
Sho speaks up, it's like, if I remember correctly, Brigston mentioned that it was not all too long ago that the witch had left. If we spend any more time gathering supplies and whatnot, we might end up missing our chance to stop her.
I mean, it's not that long of a detour, is it?
They said the ley lines were to the north, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you wanted us to make survival checks to do that.
Mhm.
In regardless with the even with the detour in there, I have Wanderer. So is it okay if I roll that survival check with advantage?
Sure.
15 anyway.
Yeah, 15's good. Yeah, you believe that, like, you make the detour, you get back to the cart, and you find the notes there. And when you get there, you can find a good number of tracks that head northwards, away from the bandit camp, away from Riggensted, into a different location.
Seeing Hikan noticing those things, I nudge Sho and said, "This detour wasn't so useless after all."
I shall hold my tongue.
And I will bag up the notes, or put the notes in the bag.
Okay.
Also, I am assuming I have the bag of holding. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were the one who was holding it last, so unless you gave it to one of us, which I don't think you would have, you're the person. You have it on your person right now, so.
Right. I will go and out that. Yes.
Fair enough. It's like, maybe I should trust this to someone more responsible in the party, the drunkard, or the person I know will probably give it back to the bandits.
Neither of which I consider to be a good idea trademarked.
Nah, I'm going to keep hold of it.
Oh dear. But yeah, so you get the stuff in the bag and you continue northwards. It takes you about a couple of hours before you see, amongst a clearing of trees, what appear to be different kind of ritualistic stones and markers, little very basic ancient sorts of kind of effigies that are left behind. And within, up ahead between the trees, you can see a clearing where there is a circle of standing stones, and in the middle of them you can't make out immediate details, but you can see some kind of light, maybe by a torch or by a fire.
Renji would like to at least go up a little bit closer and check it out. But he will first glance at Sho and Hikan and say, "Do you want me to move in a little further?"
Sho does hold him back, and it's like, allow me. And from his sleeve, crawls out, the spider friend! Yay! We haven't seen him. And so I'm going to, I believe I have currently, I think I have all my spell slots back. We had a rest before we left, didn't we?
Did you have
We had a short rest.
At least a
Yeah.
short rest, yes.
It was at least a short rest, so I probably have 2.
Yeah.
2. Let's say 2. And so I'm going to use one of mine, and because I don't really want to stand around and spend 10 minutes preparing it as a ritual, when you could have just walked over, I'm going to use one of the spell slots to use my familiar. Find familiar.
Alright, so did you desummon your familiar the last time you...
No,
had it out?
he's always sat there, but you do
Okay.
have to cast it if you need to change its form.
Oh, yes, so you do. Okay, so what do you change it from?
Normally
a
I
spider
keep
to?
him as a spider because it's like, I don't have to desummon it because it fits in my pocket.
Yeah.
But like, I'm gonna go with... What's a reasonably fair nighttime bird? An owl.
An owl, okay.
An owl.
So in a brief flash of arcane light, your small spider friend transmogrifies into an owl, which looks over at you and coos at you. So,
And like, I'm going to see through his eyes, and I'm going to send the owl over to like circle around the camp, maybe land on a nearby. Is it like trees surrounding this campfire, or like any like buildings or anything?
no buildings. There's no structure other than the standing stones themselves.
Right. Well, Buddy's going to fly over, and he's just going to perch on one of the standing stones and like look around.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull you over to the map so you can see what it looks like.
Must preface this: Sho is just standing here with his eyes closed whilst this happens. If you try anything, Sho doesn't fucking know what's happening. I just black out all of my own senses in order for me to see this stuff. So I guess for practicality's sake, I'm just gonna move Sho over and say that he's probably like set up on like this one, so a little bit further behind the party, so we get the drop on them. Boom, there.
Okay. So yeah, the owl flutters over and lands, and its head tilts, and you can see. That's probably a bit better. You can see in between these standing stones. You can see three more bandits, all within the same kind of garb. All of them definitely have these large black marks under their eyes, and they're all waiting around impatiently. There is a Gerudo woman in dark clothes with kind of a crooked staff, and she's currently, and in the other hand she has a knife of some kind, and is just hovering it over the bound form of this somewhat elderly man who appears to be in the same attire that Avalon and Miles were in.
He's not dead.
He's not dead.
Is he like struggling? So
he's struggling, but the way he's been tied up, it seems like it's pretty much in vain. He's very well tied down.
Right. By like what? Just standard ass ropes?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I sent the owl over. Like, how far away are we from this roundabout? I guess.
How far do you want to be?
Well, I mean, like, because I like stopped the party like as soon as we started noticing the like campfire light.
Okay.
And then sent the owl out. So it would like, you know.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be around about 50 feet from the clearing.
50 feet from the clearing? How much range does my chromatic orb have? Just 90 feet, but I probably don't have a clear view anyways. Because it's like a bit, this place is a bit raised up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Aye. So, Sho is going to, like... So I can telepathically, like, communicate with the familiar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sho's basically just he's gonna, like, stop seeing through its senses, and it's just gonna come out and just fly around overhead, so it doesn't, like, fuck off or anything.
Yeah.
Just keep spiraling around and everything.
Yeah, so it just flies up and then goes into kind of like a circular... like a circular sort of patrol thing, as if looking for mice.
Yeah, like an owl would. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is a fire over here. Interesting.
The
Never mind.
fire itself is actually, you do remember, is coming from the staff. Like, it seems to be hanging off of the staff, despite the staff clearly being made of, like, wood.
Right-yo, so that shit's magical. As Sho, like, opens his eyes again and, like, refocuses into his own senses, he turns to the other party. It's like, there are 3 of our marked friends over there, as well as, I believe, the Gerudo Witch. She has some kind of stave. The last of the scholars, he's tied and bound on some kind of rudimentary altar. If we, I'm sure we must intervene soon, else he might lose his life.
Who do you suppose we should target first?
I cannot hit them with my magic from this range. Or
I
rather, I
can.
could, but do you have a clear sight of them? Do we have a clear sight of them? Or is like in between the trees and shit?
It's a bit difficult to... it's not a clear thing. There's obstacles in the way.
But
if we get closer...
For ranged attacks, would another vantage point, perhaps to the west or east, be better?
I was about to say it would be ideal for us to, if we mobilized and tried to pincer, like have one of our suits capable of ranged on either side. So
yes, for instance, if I went east,
yes,
because you did mention those 3 bandits. Are they
3 bandits? There's one directly in front of us, and 2 of them are on the eastern side.
Then on the eastern or the western side?
Western, rather.
Then perhaps I should go to the east and catch the witch off guard.
Indeed. If I shall go with Tyrina to the western side. If it comes down to combat with multiple opponents, we might fare better.
Agreed.
So that means Hikan and Renji go to the east, and we will go west. Independent stealth checks.
Yep. So everybody roll stealth to move into position.
What team? Wildcats.
23.
Oh boy.
Nice.
I am going to. Also.
So
try.
Tyrina got a 9.
Ting, 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 ting.
9! Oh no!
19.
Okay.
I'm good. Hikan's good, but the people who we're going with, they ain't good.
Okay, so
Not Tyrina's fault. She's like tink, tink, tink armor as a problem. Renji on the other hand, like I assume, like trips on a twig or something. Fuck.
Yeah. So it's difficult for Tyrina to move appropriately before without making too much of a noise because of the clatter of a chainmail. So if Sho and Hikan on the map, would you like to move yourself to the positions that you want to be in?
Right. So would Tyrina have like noticed this and like stopped?
Yeah. So she would have purposely trailed behind.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hide.
Could I see the map? Because I think only Sho can see it right now.
You should be able to. I'm wondering if does your token apparently does not have sight, which is bizarre.
Ooh,
It also doesn't have the dark vision that I put on it, which is weird. So
all Sheikah have.
There you go. You should be able to see now.
Okay, so I'm like hiding behind here, but because I just like I'm actually peering around. If I put my thing on here, I have no vision because of like the rock. And shit.
Also, I have sight up to 120 in complete darkness.
That you do. Yeah.
So
Apparently, I need to adjust these tokens. There we go.
but that's okay.
So Renji, if you'd like to, because you only got a 9 on your stealth, if you'd like to position yourself about here, which is where they
Okay.
actually managed to.
Right. So I would kind of be out of sight then?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, they know you're. They can see Tyrina and they know you're there somewhere, but they don't have a direct line of sight on you.
Right.
So
these standing stones are completely solid, or
yeah, despite what the map actually shows, where it looks like Stonehenge, these are solid.
okay.
It's just the best map I could find. Yeah. So as you get to those positions, a voice from the center says, "Dearies, would you please take care of our guests? I'm busy at the moment."
Renji immediately draws his sword.
Yeah.
Shon's like, shit.
with that, the fight is on. Everybody, roll initiative.
Aren't we still sneaky?
You're still sneaky, so on the next, you effectively can get a surprise round, the both of you, if you'd like to. I'm just going to roll initiative for everybody anyway, because it's...
So I will roll initiative for that, and I will take that surprise round.
I'll roll initiative for that, and I will take surprise.
Okay, so the bandits themselves get...
Yo, I can't wait for the surprise round to just be fucking... They can't just, like, jump, boy!
Jump around!
just bounce into it like, surprise! Like, you can have the ultimate donkey punch because you're doing it from flying down overhead as well. Like, smack.
I do have stats for this creature, don't I? I should do. It's one of the earliest things I designed. It's a beast, I think. Yes, it is. Okay.
This is really shitty because not only have I betrayed my position, I can't see them.
You can see the fire though. You know where the fire is, so like you can like just go there.
Okay, time to change the music to something a bit more battle-y, and
Battle E.
let's try this off size. Okay, so let's reorganize into descending order. That's perfect. Okay, so I also need to roll that. Wow, it's just... well, at least I don't have to rearrange it. That's a terrible
Tyrina
roll.
is slap bang right at the bottom.
Oh boy.
Oh no, that's not Tyrina.
Oh, is that the flame keys?
Yeah.
It's that. Okay, it is. It was like, oh, Wind Waker flame keys. Like, oh, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Apparently, it won't add itself to the turn order, but I can just do it manually.
Yes.
I need like
Flame
a
keys.
technical difficulties jingle.
It's like a Krillin owned count. It's like something. Every time something in the game goes wrong. Ding!
There we go. Tyrina's now on the board. All right. So descending order. So initiative is Sho, Hikan, Renji, the bandits, Tyrina, the Gerudo Witch, and then finally the fire keys. Okay.
But
So
the surprise round goes me and Hikan first.
yep. So it'll go Sho, Hikan, then it'll start a proper initiative order.
So it's going to go Sho, Hikan, Renji.
Huzzah.
Yep.
Jeez. Alright. Seeing that, like, shite, they noticed us. Sho's immediately just going to, while still from his vantage point, kneel down for a second, just like utter a chant. The blade song is active.
Okay.
Like, hush, hush, hush. Sho then is gonna dart in between these three in like in a fucking like vroom, flash like right up in the middle of them, and then he's just going to like hold his hand to like his casting focus necklace for a sec. Hand starts to glow, and then he just sweeps his hands around like Virgil summon sword style. I'm using sword burst. One of my
Okay.
favorites. To
Okay.
attack them around me.
So they need to make dexterity saving throws. of which they are proficient in none, so they just need to make standard their dexterity checks. So, let's see. So this is the bandit south of you. He fails. And then this is the bandit north of you. And he passes. Okay, so the
South
bandit...
buddy must take 1d6.
Yep.
1d6 of force. 1 damage.
1 damage. 1 point of damage. As the spectral blades summon and just cut into his flesh. They are taken by surprise, but their impatience kind of fades and the massive grins come on their faces. Hikan.
Alrighty. Hikan's going to sit there, seeing Sho rush forward. He himself was going to take a deep breath and then run over to the witch.
Donkey punch!
And he's going to swing his quarterstaff. 23?
Oh,
That
nice.
is a hit.
Alrighty. And then I'm going to use one of my key points
Mm-hmm.
and use Flurry of Blows.
Pow!
Nice.
Are all these at advantage because he snuck up on, like, I guess,
Yeah. So this is as an aspect of your surprise.
Oh!
So that's 8 from the first one. Yep.
First one.
I
And for the
really
second one,
like-
12 to hit.
You can't.
That is sadly not a hit.
Monks are
Damn.
fucking great.
Yeah, 14 damage first turn though. That's not bad.
That's pretty good.
As opposed to
That's pretty
when
good.
1, you've got me beat.
Okay, now we enter proper initiative, so now it is Sho's go.
Firstly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some fucking spacing, and I'm going to risk. I assume so if I move to like here, is that guy going to attack of opportunity me?
The south one, yeah, but the one that you move around isn't. So,
I know that's what I mean. Like, go ahead, try and hit my 17.
Okay, so he swings his hand
Do
axe.
it. Watch him
and
do
gets
it.
a
Okay,
16.
he almost did. Do it! I dare you! Okay, maybe not.
He like lashes out with the hand axe, but misses you narrowly as you duck under the blade and tumble around the other guy.
And then just a good old swing at this fella. With my sword. With an 18 to hit for 6 damage.
An
His
18
sword is
hits and he
something
takes
different,
his 6
though.
damage.
So just action roll, swing, didn't get the kill swing, but like, it'll do.
Yep. Okay, Hikan, it is now your go again.
Alrighty, so after missing with the second punch, he's going to take a deep breath again and then swing out with his quarterstaff. 17.
17 hits,
Alrighty, and
the
10
witch-
damage on that one.
10 damage.
The witch
Okay.
is turned around now.
Yeah, she's aware that there's someone punching her in the back of the head now, so it's...
I think she might have caught on. So sadly, don't get that. Crit 15. Woo, wait.
And I'm actually going to spend my last key point and do Flurry of Blows again.
Okay.
Excellent choice, sir.
And first one, 12,
A 12 sadly misses.
14.
A 14 does hit and deals.
Alrighty, so another 6
16.
damage.
So that's
I did
30
30 damage,
turns.
technically the
That
first
is
turn.
excellent.
Fucking second level. Smack.
Okay,
Mhm.
Renji.
Right. DM, do I, as a warlock, know anything of leveling up as a warlock and what that might entail?
Yeah, if you since you do you mean are you aware of the level up that you got previously?
No, am I aware of any leveling up that I can do and such that a warlock may have done?
As in, are you trying to gauge if she's more experienced a warlock than you are?
Yes, and
Right.
also if because we did notice the fire keys, if that has anything, what that is specifically to.
You wouldn't be. You'd need to roll some kind of insight or arcana check on the witch in order to gauge on how much whether or not they're more powerful a spellcaster than you are. As for the keys, yeah, you know it's a keys. It looks like now you're up close, even though it's coated in fire. It looks like a bat.
Because it's flapping around on top of his
In that
head.
case, I am not going to stop and think for this time.
No asking
To
questions
run,
later. Time to
I'm
shoot.
going to run up here Do I have line of sight to the Gerudo Witch and the keys?
Yes.
Holding my sword out, I am going to charge it up and blast the fire keys with an Eldritch Blast.
Okay.
The bat.
Yes, the bat. I am at bat. Eldritch Blast to a 21.
That's it. You hit the thing and it explodes in a small gout of fire and eldritch energy, and the light very quickly fades. So...
The two guys just run up and just pow! Fuck
Oh
you.
no.
Okay, so we can all see, but Tyrina's just lost her
Tyrina's blind.
Tyrina is blind. You guys now see, as the shadow fades, there's like all of the people within the immediate area. It looks like their shadows kind of grow out of them and coat them in this kind of dreadful sort of abyssal energy.
I have made a grave error.
You have!
Alright, is there anything else you want to do on your turn?
Can you
yes.
cast light, please?
I cannot cast light. I only have prestidigitation.
Damn it.
And that is not sufficient.
Can you prestidigitize the hostage's clothes to make a braid?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Damn.
What I will do is I will cast the Hexblade's Curse on the Gerudo Witch.
Okay.
And I will shout at her, I do not know what pact you have closed with whatever force, but know this, I will defeat you.
For the sake of my honoru.
I will make sure that she has a... oh wait, that's Hex, never mind. She's just under the Hexblade's Curse.
Okay. There we go.
What does that do?
Divulge the mechanic. We're gonna have to treat this like Pot of Greed in every Yu-Gi-Oh episode now. What does your Hexblade's Curse do?
I activate Pot of Greed!
The Hexblade's Curse, I gain a bonus to damage rolls against the cursed target.
You also
Bonus
get to draw
equals
2 cards
my
for each
proficiency
deck and
bonus.
add them to your hand.
Exactly. Any attack roll I make against the cursed target is a critical hit on a roll of 19,
Nice.
as well as 20. And if the cursed target dies, I regain hit points equal to my Warlock level plus Charisma modifier, which is in this time a 5.
That's fucking sick.
That is really good. Okay.
Is it like the normal curse when you can move it to a target when the target
Yes, I can move it.
That's so sick!
Let's see. It ends early if the target dies, so I can't move it from one target, kill it, and then move it to another.
Okay.
Right, okay.
All right. But yeah. So with that being your turn, the
I'm
bandits
going to stay behind the stone.
The
Just
safety room.
yeah. If they want to hurt me, they have to get me.
Alright, so this bandit down south is going to Naruto run in madness at Tyrina and swing his axe with advantage because she can't see anything.
Shit, I'm sorry.
Misses though. Oh wait, no, that wasn't with advantage. I forgot I need to have roll 2 on these things, so I'll have him roll again and take the first damage if it hits. But no, a 12 is actually the best he could do, so he misses. And I'll put that on there. Alright, yeah, so he misses. This one's going to come up to Hikan and do the same. Though you can see, so he doesn't get advantage on this. Swing! And still misses. Jesus Christ, these bandits. A 7 and an 8 is what he rolled for his dice. He's not doing particularly well.
It's like that
I
challenge.
catch it at the corner of my eye and just sidestep.
Yeah. And
Miss me with that shit.
the other bandit is going to wheel around and attack Sho with his hand axe. And 12 is likely going to be a miss.
Damn it!
Okay, Tyrina, not having the time or the safety to pull out a Sunrod, is going to roll with disadvantage to try and hit this attacking bandit with her great axe. wha, and misses. It just kind of like slides out of the way and cackles in her face. The Gerudo Witch is going to slowly turn around to Hikan, and she's going to hold out a hand and say, "I think it'd be best if you were to stay right there. And I'd like you to make a I think it's a charisma saving throw.
What? Whole
Constitution
person?
saving throw?
Yeah,
It's a whole person.
I believe it's yeah. It's just
I
for some
don't imagine that it's charisma if that's your casting stat.
Oh, make a wisdom saving throw. Sorry, so
Weird.
you have to make a wisdom
even
saving.
better.
Even better.
16.
16, and her casting DC is she's not a very high level. Is DC 12. Yeah, so you managed to shake off the
No, thank you. I'm gonna keep moving.
Yeah.
Alright.
What's your DC?
13.
Oh. She said the diary said she was new at necromancy, so.
I mean, I haven't touched necromancy, and even my DC is higher. I know it doesn't bring up.
I mean, she could have had. She could be, what's the word I'm looking for? Multiclassed, technically, because she was new to the whole thing.
Technically.
Right. She might be a low-level warlock and multi-class into something.
If I would know what multiclassing is,
Which you don't, fun fact.
which I don't.
Okay, so that's her turn done. She's just kind of... actually, what she does as a bonus action, she's going to take the dagger she was hovering around the civilian, and just hold it over him and then let go, but it hovers there for a spell. It just kind of sits there. It's pointing downward over this civilian. And these orbs of energy, these blacker than black orbs of energy, just circle around. You count at least 5 of them. And then she gives all of her attention to Hikan. And then the fire keys has been obliterated, so it's back to Sho.
Sho, noticing that, these things are, better in the dark, and looks over and is like, Tyrina's not probably having a great time with this. I'm not going to take advantage because I'm still in his attack range. Sho's basically just going to, juke and jive, and then point his palm out and chromatic orb the fuck out of the asshole who's harassing Tyrina.
Okay.
And chromatic orb fire.
Okay, so clicketh the spell. There you go. Let's see, and their AC. Yep, that's enough. So you fire the thing out. This orb of flame tumbling through the air, lighting up the environment briefly before slamming into the back of this bandit. There's a howl of delightful pain coming from this bandit as it crumples to the ground, just very swiftly immolating under the force of your spell.
Nice.
And Tyrina's like,
Artist
"Thank you."
It's like, let's get lit, fam. No.
I mean, are
we
the
need light
council
over
fires
here.
that there might be light there?
I'd say that it's kind of like a very instantaneous sort of, like a very quick burnout.
Okay.
So it's brief, but yeah.
His clothes are wet.
Yeah.
Ha.
It's like a flash fire.
Stop ruining my fun, Dungeon Master!
Hikan, it is your go.
Can I see evidence of the Hexblade's curse?
I don't know. Renji, is there a visible indicator of the Hexblade's curse?
Not in the mechanics, but I did flavor it with Brigston before I didn't realize that I couldn't do it on Brigston, as these flecks of black energy forming around the temples of the target.
Okay.
Oh right, so there's twilight
Yes.
pixels floating around her head.
Yes.
Right.
Can I see it?
In the darkness, it's going to be tricky, but maybe they have in the pure complete darkness they might have an amber glow.
Also, like,
Okay.
you can see in the dark, so you'd probably be able to notice the fact that there's actual pitch blackness around her head.
Yeah. I am going to shout a mine as I swing my quarterstaff again.
Okay.
Flat.
20
A 20 hits
for 7.
for 7 damage. How do you want to do this?
What?
Okay, I'm using my
He's
staff,
done
right?
30 damage in like
I know,
one
I
turn.
know.
I'm gonna take a deep breath. And actually, since it's the end one, I'm not gonna shout it. I'm just going to whisper it as I quickly take my staff from my right shoulder across through my left side, catching her under her jaw, and you hear a sickening crack right before she falls.
Boom! Jawbreaker.
And she tumbles to the ground, and with that, the knife that is floating over the civilian just kind of begins to lose kilter, but instead of dropping straight down, it kind of tilts to the side and lands with a thunk.
It's like what
on the
happens if you
grass.
like.
I was
Oh,
gonna try to catch that if I could.
I was going to say if I could use prestidigitation to just nudge it off balance to not hit the target.
Well, I mean, it's like if you like held like a fork in your hand and dropped it, it's never gonna land straight.
Yeah.
Unless it's really weighted with the point, but...
Yeah, right. But it's like it probably just landed on its side. It probably landed on the ropes the guy's bound to.
It looks like an ornamental sort of ceremonial dagger, something used for catching helpless targets rather than actual combat. So it's its weight is probably horrible for a weapon.
To be honest, the handle's probably weighted more. So when it lost kilter, it probably landed handle first on the poor bastard. He just got like clunked to be like an handle.
Okay. So taking a look at the hostage, he is safe, yes?
He's like, but yeah, he's safe.
Kill the bandits. They might do something.
I'm gonna take a look to the left. Is the bandit still crazy?
He definitely looks crazed.
Alrighty, well then I'm going to...
Has he lost his like shadowy?
Oh yeah, because he would still have the shadowy stuff. Does he still have that?
Make a perception check.
15?
It doesn't look like he's lost any of the enchantment that he's currently had, which is odd, truthfully. But he's still kind of got this convulsing sort of shadow that's surrounding him.
He's like got like shadow tumors all over his body.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well then I'm going to use my unarmed strike on him. 20?
Crack. Yep, you managed to hit him. He's still standing, and he's reveling in the pain that has been caused, but he's definitely hurt. Okay. Anything else you want to do on your turn at all?
I'm gonna shout out to Tyrina. Oh no, she's got the other bandit on her, and I watched him go that direction.
Oh, he's You saw.
I incinerated him.
You saw Sho like hurl a ball of flame at him, and you heard a scream. So you assume that might have been taken care of.
It's the good old pain.
Assuming that that's taken care of, I'm going to shout at Tyrina, "Come to the center! The witch is dead! This guy needs out of here!"
On it!
And that's my turn.
Okay. Renji.
Yes. I will, I do feel that the curse that I cast is lifted, and I feel this rush of energy that just can't really go anywhere. And I just rush past the stone, seeing the crazed bandits just next to Hikan, and instead of doing anything magically, I will try and just hit him with my sword. With
Okay.
my Twilight longsword.
Good old vintage sword.
Yes. And that is
As
a
old as
14.
stick.
That is a 14. You wheel around, you bring the blade down, it cuts deep into his shoulder, all the way half the way down through his chest before the blade gets stuck.
Before I do, because I do want to hurt, but I do not want to kill.
You don't want to. You want to have it be non-lethal. Okay.
Yes.
So.
Right in the thigh.
Yeah. So you cut through his thigh, tumbles down to the ground. It's quite clear at this point that the pain is far too overwhelming for him to be enjoying it or capable of doing anything from it. So he's kind of. He is down for the count.
It's like, pain. Wait, no, too much. Oklahoma.
I thought the safe word was apples.
Oklahoma.
This last bandit is going to attempt in vain to attack Sho with his hand axe. 17
He
hit
hits.
AC. Okay,
Well,
so
it's my AC is 17. So.
okay, so he does hit you. The axe blade bites into your shoulder. He deals 4 slashing damage plus
Oh boy.
Plus.
4 necrotic damage.
Nice.
Whoa! So an 8.
As like the blade hits you, and then like this dark energy rushes into the open wound, and just feels like it's infiltrating your body and really just triggering every pain receptor in that general area.
It's like the part it's like Cell versus Piccolo for the first time.
Yeah.
Cell stabs him, and it's like oh, you stabbed me. It's like, what are you doing? He's drinking your arm.
Okay, then Tyrina's go. She's going to stumble in this general direction, and then on her turn, she's going to reach into her pouch and crack a sun rod.
Crack someone with the boys.
As this bright light envelops the area, she can now see, and as light comes up, she is, or the bandit before her, the shadows seem to just shy away, and he seems relatively normal compared to what he was beforehand. The Gerudo Witch is gone. The fire case is gone. Sho, it's your go.
Stabbing. Angry retaliation in form of stabbing. 15 to hit, 10 damage.
Okay, that's a hit, and that is a kill.
So it's just like, ow, fuck, swing, decapitation. Like, I don't have time for this.
Like the head flies in one way and tumbles down the hill. The body just kind of slumps in the opposite direction, and just. And there is a sense of calm in the area as you have slain all that is in this area.
Well,
Sho's
not
gonna
slain
Except for the
everything.
one guy.
Sho's gonna drop to one knee and like, ah! Urgh! Fuck,
Terry's going to come over and says, "Well, I'm out of my usual trick," but she then reaches into a pack and begins bandaging the wound, just kind of putting pressure onto it, and then just wrapping a bandage around and everything. And it's like, this has been a weird day.
Also,
As Tyrina helps Sho, I wish to inspect the now unconscious bandit.
As Renji's inspecting him, Hikan runs over to the hostage, grabs the ornamental dagger, and cuts him free.
So you cut him free, and he raises his hands, he pulls the gag out of his mouth, and he goes, "Oh my, oh dear."
Do I recognize this voice?
I do.
Perhaps as a scholar or librarian that may have kicked me out of a library once.
Quite possibly, yes. This is definitely Samson, the third and final scholar amongst the trio of scholars that were being harassed by these people. And he goes, "Oh, thank you so much, dear sirs. It's been a very long couple of days." He's rubbing his eyes at this point. And it's just at this point in time, he doesn't get up from the slab. He just kind of like
I need to lie down.
just gonna sit here for a moment. But yeah, as you're inspecting the bandit, the marks under his eyes don't seem to go away. Like he's he's incapacitated. He's unable to actively act or anything, but the marks under his eyes do not go away. And the same can be said for the ones who are dead.
Actually dead.
Who are actually dead. So it seems like this might be a permanent sort of either a curse or an empowerment or something.
Some kind of branding.
Affliction.
So Hikan's going to like raise his finger towards Samson and go, "Way right there," and then he's going to come over to this bandit and break his neck.
Okay, so you kind of
What?
like,
Curb stop!
and he's gone.
No! Hey, Khan, what did you do?
I took care of the problem.
You can see Renji sitting there on the ground, just looking forlorn for just a moment as he looks up at Khan. There might be almost like tears of rage in his eyes, like this was something I could do. Well, looks like I'm not cut out for this.
Confidence
Powerful.
lesson number 2, Renji. Things don't always go the way you plan them. You have to deal with the way that they come.
Sho points
Says Tyrina.
at the hole in his side. As like this is all happening and Sho like regains his footing, Owl Buddy flies down and lands square in the middle of Sho's head and just sits there. I have a friend. Sho is going to head over to the incapacitated, dead ass fucking jaw smashed witch. And was she wearing a hood?
No.
Does she have marks under her eyes?
Yes.
Ah, shit.
Renji looks over at Sho and notices him inspecting the bodies, and then says, "You know, if you're interested in those marks, a bit of eyeliner does the trick just easily."
Sho looks over him. Boy.
Hikan looks
Look,
at the dagger.
this
in his
time
hand.
I'm not the one that's killing everything.
Hikan looks at the dagger in his hand. Is there anything like different about it, or does it look just like a regular old ornamental one?
Make a perception check. Or an arcana check if you would like.
Identify! I don't have any
I'll just go with percent. 7.
Okay. So it seems more or less like a standard ornamental dagger. It doesn't appear to have anything special about it. The blade is nice and jagged, but otherwise it's... yeah.
Is it pretty?
It's kind of grim, actually. It seems to be made from black iron, and the leather on the handle is a bit dark and crude. Feels cold to the touch, almost.
I hand it out hilt first to Renji.
What do I need with it?
I don't know much about this magic stuff, and I goofed, so here you go.
I grab it by the hilt, look at it for a moment. Do I notice anything out of the ordinary from it?
Make a perception or an arcana check.
In that case, I will go for perception. And that is a 13.
A 13. With a bit more inspection, it seems like it has, like, the metal of the blade appears to have leering faces on it, like very subtly kind of embossed on the black of the blade. On a part of the blade near the hilt, you can see that it bears a symbol depicting three arrows overlaid in a triangle pointing inwards.
I'm sorry, I lost the connection for a moment and therefore didn't get your description.
Okay, so it's so like what Hikan noticed.
Mhm.
It's made of black iron, has very crude and dark leather wrapped around the handle as a grip. It feels cold to the touch, and your roll allowed you to notice that the blade has very intricate engravings on it that look like leering faces all the way up the blade.
So they are engravings and not like formed into the metal itself.
Yeah, and it also near the hilt appears to be a symbol that depicts 3 arrows overlaid on a triangle pointing inwards. And as you examine it more, this thing feels very uncomfortable to hold. Like you don't feel right holding it.
Right. Is there anything? Okay, so seeing the bandit. Is he wearing any sort of leather armor?
Yeah, all the bandits are wearing leather armor.
Right. Are they wearing like what kind of weaponry are they? And specifically, do they have a sheath of some sort that I might protect the blade?
They don't. The weapons that they have on hand are hand axes and light crossbows, inspecting all of them. They don't appear to have any kind of dagger or sheath of any kind, though they might have a spare piece of cloth that you can use to wrap the blade in.
Yes, I will probably do that and then chuck it into the bag.
Okay.
That is not a pleasant weapon.
Hikan looks down. He goofed twice.
Oh.
Sho's inspecting the Gerudo woman, right?
Yes, I am currently. I'm intrigued by that knife though, because I guess, as the wizard, I guess I'm token artifact looker-upper.
Renji probably doesn't specifically know this. He just thinks you're a fighter with some tricks.
With some magic tricks.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. Sho is like, remind me to look at that later. He makes a mental note of it, and so.
Okay.
Are you still currently examining the body? Yes, I am.
Yes.
Looking for anything else specific?
I'm not sure.
I do wonder, does the Gerudo Witch have anything else on her person? Or was it just the staff? And is the staff important?
Looking at the staff, it appears to be made of a very simple dark-colored wood, which looks more or less like a shepherd's crook. So it's like, so it has a nice hook on the end, which is probably how the keys was hanging onto it. It doesn't look special, at least from immediate inspection.
Hikan? What are you doing over there?
Hikan's going to kind of keep an eye out while everyone's taking a look at stuff for the moment. She did raise a zombie, and since he's not particularly wise in the ways of magics, he's going to make sure that nothing's going to come up behind them and attack them. So he's just going to patrol around.
Seeing Hikan just wandering and then really moving purposefully is just alright. Well, this staff doesn't seem to be too important. Just form rather than function.
Like most wizards, it's probably some kind of casting focus. Given enough time, most objects can be given the right material.
Perhaps. Renji will attempt to break the staff across one of these standing stones.
Okay, you pick up the staff, and with a mighty swing, there's a as it snaps in two.
Well, that solves one thing.
I suppose so.
Sho. Did we really have to kill all of them? I know they were crazed, I know that, but there might have been something we could have done in Castletown. That one of the magisters, one of the surgeons, looked them over.
I suppose that would have been given any nature of this regard, it would be more preferable to take someone that we could use to further allow this investigation. And were it up to me, I would much prefer for us to have kept the one that you at least spent the effort trying to keep alive. Maybe then we could have done something if we returned to Castletown. I'm sure one of the churches, or even Grandmaster Elish might have known something. But despite that probably may have been beneficial, it also would be to bear in mind that that it may have been a danger to the people.
True,
if three Sheikah were to enter Castletown with a bound, snarling man, it would cause undue rest towards the people, especially with the civil war still raging.
I mean, I suppose there is that. I suppose we are in the business of destroying, aren't we?
To understand and to look back and believe that is not the correct path already shows that you are starting to grow. To look on these situations that we find ourselves in and contemplating if they are worth it or not shows that we're not just becoming a mindless killing machine. So...
but I never was Sho. This is not a change in me. The last few days I've been caught up in the excitement and the fear. And I don't want to be pulled along with the current. Ever. That is not who I want to be.
And that is a fair stance.
And then Renji just steps away from a moment and just leans against one of the standing stones, looking around to no particular direction.
Tyrina kind of lets the two of you have your conversation. Wanders over to the scholar and offers a hand to help them sit up, at which point they take it and they pull to their feet and just he dusts himself off. I will be very happy to get back to Hyrule Castletown. Very happy indeed. My days of adventuring from this point on are over.
You might be happy to know, and then as this conversation happens, Renji steps closer, digs through the bag of holding, just basically puts his hand in, thinks of the notes, and just pulls out a few of the sheets of paper. I think you'll be happy to know that yours and Avalon and Miles's research hasn't gone to waste, at least.
Oh, thank goodness. Oh, dear. Thank you. I mean, yeah, I'm more thankful that you saved my life and that you've saved the lives of Avalon and Miles and everything, and I'm just also quite thankful that you saved those notes because it means I won't have to spend any more time on this accursed project. Ugh. I mean, star maps are one thing, but this place is... anything outside the castle walls is too exciting for my liking.
We have different tastes. Also, and I'm going to be keeping this just on the way. We might never know what will happen next. And I pull out just a tiny hint of the astrolabe to show that it is in safe hands.
Oh, bully! Excellent, fantastic. That would be that's great. That's great news. Especially when we've been attacked by a bandit, something that where are my erstwhile companions? I must know.
Oh, they're in Regenstead at the inn.
Good. I would say, I think they would agree with this. I would say, if possible, we should go and collect them, and then we should head right back to Hyrule Castle Town, and you can speak to Lord Simeon directly for your reward. I'm sure he'll be very grateful for what you've done today.
I glance over at Sho. Back to Castletown?
That seems like the most appropriate course of action.
I suppose so.
Sho
And I sheathe my sword.
Sho does look over to Tyrina. It's like, the circumstances that these people found themselves in. And to coincide with Renji's wishes, I think it might be suitable to bury these poor souls.
I think you have the right idea. And she says, I can take care of that if you need me to, and I can meet you back in Regenstead. It might be a night, but I'll be capable of taking care of that if you'd like.
No, I shall assist you.
As will I.
I was going to ask, how far away is Regenstead? We might want to make camp since it looks to be dark or getting dark.
It's dark enough.
Let's see. From your current position, you considering that you've been around this area enough by this point, you reckon that it's 7 and a bit miles, maybe, from where you currently are to Regenstead again. So it would be very late into the evening, but you could walk back if you wanted to. I mean, with all 4 of you helping, burying the bodies takes about an hour at the longest, including
and
prayers
be a
and
walk
everything.
of 2.5 hours, I suppose?
Apparently, yeah, in a sense, yeah. Like, if you do a non-stop dedicated march, then yes.
Okay. I was just curious because it was like, it's dark. Tyrina couldn't see.
She kind of she still has the sun rod, and they last for a bit, so she's kind of just keeping hold of that. Because there's also the Hylian that is currently journeying with you as well back to Regenstead. So he's probably
So, as if Samson is willing, then he could make the dedicated march with Hikan back to Regenstead, and once we're done, we'll head.
No, I was going to help you guys out with that. It was just I was just thinking, it is dark, and we're the only people that can do it at night. And I mean, I know I have a couple of things that help for setting up camp, but that's different things. I mean, if we're going to bury the bodies, it takes about an hour, and we'd make it back by late evening. That would probably be better.
Fair enough.
Speaking of which, you talked about burying the bodies. Does anybody have anything to bury them with?
Tyrina holds up her great axe and is like, I could try using this. I don't know, do any of you magic guys have a spell that moves earth of any kind, or is that a big no?
Can prestidigitation do that?
Nope.
It's like, shows I can't really, not for a utility purpose. If I waited a while, I might be able to blast a hole with fire, but that wouldn't be appropriate at all.
I mean, I can technically instantaneously clean or soil an object no longer larger than 1 cubic foot per a few seconds.
Well, I guess it's going to be taking a bit of a while then. And Tyrina finds a spot and starts effectively trying to use her great axe as a makeshift shovel. It doesn't go too well, but it's better than nothing.
If there's any soft earth, then I will just start digging with my hands, using the occasional prestidigitation to keep myself clean.
Okay.
While we're doing that, Sho will be preparing the bodies.
As she's chopping into the earth with her axe, I use my staff as a fulcrum to help lift chunks of earth out of the way.
Nice. Yeah. So between all of you, you managed to conjure up 4 graves and put them into the ground. Reburying them is easy enough because it's now loose earth. You just pick it up with your hands and push it over.
Tyrina, is there any way for you to kind of sanctify these bodies so that whatever the witch did with the guy back in the basement doesn't happen?
It'll take a while. I have a spell that allows me to, or I have a ritual that allows me to do it. It'll take about an hour, and that's per body, mind. I could do it on, the witch at the very least. Keeps the scarier one under wraps. Very well. Shouldn't take me too long. And she puts kind of stands with both hands on her axe and lowers her head, closes her eyes, and begins to recite something in Gerudo, like a long prayer to Etheria, and over the course of an hour, you don't see anything immediately, but you feel this kind of safe, warm sort of feeling around this one particular grave. You feel like that ground in particular is now sanctified.
As she's casting her ritual, can I meditate?
Sure.
Perfect.
And I will also use, well, I don't actually need to, but I will take a short rest, just calming myself down.
Okay. So after a while, ceremony finishes. She looks back to the rest of you and says, "Well, shall we head off?"
Agreed.
Okay.
So you take front, I take back.
Indeed.
And you then begin to make a long, dedicated march back to Briggston Stead. As the evening wears on, you can hear a variety of wildlife in the background. Some pleasant, some not so pleasant. And eventually, you find yourself back at Briggston. The lights of the buildings now much more welcoming. And you wander your way back to the Octorok and Drum. It's fairly quiet as you enter, and inside you can pick them out immediately. Avalon and Miles, who then go through they look over and say, oh my, and they run over and they greet their friend Samson, and Samson relays everything that he has heard from the experience.
So I give them the astronomical stack of notes. I mean, the stack of astronomical notes.
Yeah.
The astronomical stack of astronomical notes.
And I say, you three can probably sort this out better than I can.
Mm-hmm.
And then I head over to the bar and put down a gold piece and tell them to give those 3 people, especially the older one, something strong that is not Goron rot, that is palatable, that is to be stomached, but that will definitely give them something nice and warm.
Yes. Very well. I shall do this. The barwoman disappears, comes back with 3 flagons and passes them to you. And says, you've all been very busy from the looks of things, changing lives. What is this, the 3rd time now?
Yeah, ish.
busy
Well.
week.
Very well, very well.
I mean, there was the boy, and well, we couldn't save the lives of the cows. There was the attack here. There was some nasty business I shouldn't tell you, and yeah, then this guy. So 3-ish.
Well, you certainly have done a great service to Wiganstead. I'm sure that people, so long as they are sober, will remember your deeds and names generously. I mean, you've given people your names, I assume.
Ish.
Ish. Okay.
To be fair,
If asked.
to be fair, we're not necessarily conspicuous faces.
Well,
Actual samurai, actual drunk child.
says, well,
There aren't any other boogeymen of Rigginstead, are there?
well, not since I last checked. I mean, you kind of found some of them in your own way, so that is how it goes. I mean, if you find any more, feel free to take care of them. I mean, we're not going... Considering the fact that you've kind of tripled the amount of problems that we thought we had, and then solved all of them, you're kind of on a winning streak. So, by all means, feel free to find and exterminate and solve and do the things that you apparently do best.
We'll keep it in mind. Thank you very much.
Good.
I go and sit with my companions.
Yeah. So Avalon, Miles, and Samson have kind of found their own table. They're mulling over, they're categorizing all the notes that you've saved, and just making sure everything is there. Like filling in gaps for missing pieces, all that kind of stuff. They're busy with their own thing right now. And Tyrina has found a booth to one side of the room and is just kind of sitting down and just relaxing for a moment, basking in the ability to sit in a comfy seat. So you kind of
Looking to see if I might bother Sho for a bit, and I take the ceremonial knife from my pack. I say, this does not feel like a normal weapon. I do not know if it's magical, but it certainly does not give me a good feeling.
Sho takes the blade and ponders over it. I'm going to spend some time just very focused, just like looking over it. I'm using a ritual to identify this thing.
okay. So ritual cast identify.
It's quite amusing because he's doing this, he's looking over it a lot. His necklace is glowing, and also the owl is still sat on his head.
Okay, so I'm going to make this item's stats visible only to you. You'll find it in treasure.
Sho is actually humming this.
No. He's probably just doing the good old
It sounded very Muppety.
Yeah, I think it was.
He's whistling the theme to Kakariko Village.
Sho does look over and is like, well, you're right, partly. This thing is... It is definitely uncomfortable to hold, like, looking over it, I already feel a bit... But it is not necessarily... It is not inherently evil in nature. Something about its construction may have been magical. Hence its normal effects, and also why it feels weird. It's pointed in a fashion that means when you... Due to it being of, like, rather. I should be better explaining this. I handle weapons a lot. When you strike an opponent in a place most soft, a vulnerable point, if you would, with something very serrated, it hurts a lot more.
I can gather.
The same principle with barbed arrows. So yeah, in a layman's terms, when you roll...
You don't need to talk down on me.
No, that was out of game for a sec. When you roll a 20 with this thing, they take an extra 2d6 piercing. Also, Sho demonstrates by using prestidigitation in one hand whilst holding the knife over, just holding it in his possession, and so he has a small torch flame in his hand. He puts it right up, above, just pretty much right next to his skin, and it's like, you will not be phased by extreme heat or cold.
Well, that is interesting.
So, even if you have no real intention of using it, I suppose it serves some utility purpose.
Perhaps, yes. You do not wish to have it?
Not
I mean, I
particularly.
suppose we did steal it from a witch. And
She
you
would have
seem
done-
to be rather, how do you say, a stickler for justice?
How right you are. But anyways, a weapon is only as evil as the person who holds it. He gives it back to Renji and is like, I trust you to not do anything untoward.
I thank you for your trust, and I take the blade by the hilt and stow it back into the pack.
Okay. I'll also make it available to TheNetherlad's notes. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ba-da-ba-da.
Sho's
gonna keep quiet for the rest of it, just enjoy his drink of water because kind of hurt.
Tyrina looks to Hikan and says, "So, Castletown. Have you been there before? Or are you as new to it as I am?"
I haven't really been to big towns other than the monastery. This is the most people I've seen here in Rigenstead. At least in some time.
I work there.
Well, I'd say that makes two of us. I have seen fairly busy stuff back at Gerudo Fortress, but yeah, I think I'm going to be as last as you, so if we stick together and let our two magical friends do the guiding around, then I'm pretty sure we'll be okay.
I'm more than just a stave.
He turns to Renji and very tentatively, because he still remembers the tears of rage there. So very tentatively, Hikan asks, "Is there a place to get information on stuff in
What kind of
Castletown?
information?
Old stuff that people used to do
I mean, we have a
Stuff with-
library.
library."
I mean, there's a Castletown library, and then there's the Castle library.
Which, believe you me, will have a lot of information about a lot of very important.
And depending on what kind of information you want, some of it might even not be in the prohibited section.
Thank you.
Of course.
Do not worry. If anything plagues you, I'm sure that I can pull a few strings in order to get you in there. He smiles at the young lad.
And if you do not wish certain strings to be pulled, I have my ways to get in as well.
Someone's gonna die. Oh fuck! That's the two of us.
Oh no, just no one's going to die. Someone might get some bowel irritation.
Minor bruising. The only damage you'll feel is psychological.
See, we say that, but there's still like vicious mockery and stuff in this game, so
Yeah, right.
psychological damage still hurts.
Oh yeah, that's psychic damage. That's a different thing.
Psychic logical.
Logical psychic damage.
Indeed.
Ren's is probably going to get a room for himself and go to bed.
Feel that. Joe's gonna rest the fuck up this gaping hole in my side.
Tyrina will find her own room, and just kind of confer with the three scholars briefly to make sure that everything in the next days will be prepared for, and then waves goodnight to the rest of you and heads off.
Hikan's gonna stay behind. He'll probably be the last one to get a room, to be honest.
I wonder why. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Booze.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like it. As the night goes on, people start to shuffle out, or they head to their rooms. Even the scholars eventually just retire somewhere. And after a while, you head up to your room and head to sleep. The night passes fairly uneventfully. There's no hideous messages or visitations, or at least not for the moment. And as next morning comes, it's so like Tyrina wakes up fairly early, but then because of the way the stats of all of you work, you have all probably woken up.
She's a
2
naturally
hours
diligent.
beforehand.
She's a naturally diligent purpose. We just don't need that much sleep.
Gerudo don't either.
Renji will have started his morning routines, washing up and making sure he's all prim and proper.
Wash, dressed, sharpen the sword, meditate, prepare my spells. Ready to go.
Yeah.
Hikan's warming up and going through kata in his room.
As you wake up and look out of your window, you notice that sadly it is raining today. There's a fairly consistent grey coverage in the sky, suggesting that this rain might continue for a while before the sky breaks and goes back to its pleasant sunniness as it was before.
Mm-hmm.
But after you all finish everything and come downstairs, Tyrina comes down sometime after you, having equipped everything and prepared everything, and then eventually the remainder of the troop, these three scholars that you have saved from their haphazard adventures, trundle downstairs with all of their things that they have salvaged and look to all of you, and Avalon says, "Well, are we ready to go?"
I assume we all had a breakfast. Like
Yeah.
a decent, reasonable breakfast. Nothing like the first breakfast. nothing like that, because we need
Not
to walk a
everything
lot.
breakfast.
Not the works. The works.
Oh,
No.
dear.
There was
I was about
because-
to ask, as soon as somebody said breakfast, do I need to roll a con save?
Because we need to walk, and I don't want to get cramps.
Tyrina passes over to the bar and asks for like some rations or something to go, like a packed lunch, as it were. And she's given like a couple of lumps of stale bread and some strips of meat, and refills her water skin, all for the low cost of about 5 silver. And
Oh yeah.
everybody kind of makes their way outside.
After noticing that it's raining, like probably when Sho woke up, he's like, crap. So he spent his time performing his ritual for the familiar, changing it from an owl back to a spider, so little buddy doesn't get soaked and just has him crawl back up his sleeve.
Yeah. And then you, unless there's anything specifically you want to do in Regenstead before you leave.
No, not really.
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay. You make your way.
Sho just wants to be thankful that it was a hat.
Yeah.
Considering that it's raining. It's like, hey, I have a hat, my head keeps dry, and I could smoke still without having to worry.
Renji is probably going to keep up prestidigitation just to keep himself from getting soaked.
Pansy!
You can see Tyrina's kind of reveling in it, just kind of reveling in the rain.
Sho does look over and it's like, oh yeah, deserts.
Renji would sidle up and say, so how often does it rain in the desert?
If you have to ask, then you are not paying attention to your geography classes, my friend.
Sho just like actually he coughs on his like smoke for himself. Just a sudden like, jeez.
Just making conversation.
That's fine. It
seems you just enjoy it.
Well, to be honest, like I haven't. It's been a long time since I've been back in the desert. But to be fair, this whole rain stuff, it's kind of a novel concept.
You're probably going to hate it in about 5 minutes.
Oh, now I don't think so.
That's cute. Hikan says that in character.
It's all a matter of perspective, really. I mean, if you live near Zora's domain, then you would learn to hate.
Have you been on the bed of a river when it's raining? It is nice, and fishing is good, sir.
I'll have to take your word for it.
No, well, you have to take, because I'm taking you fishing one day, son.
Oh, you know.
Yeah. You move down the road, passing various wildlife on the way, and there are people who, like there are trade caravans going north. You see outposts of guards just kind of standing still, ready, looking you over as you pass, and eventually you find yourself in the presence of the immense walls of Hyrule Castle Town. And they are tall, almost... can't think of the word. They're tall, strong walls of a light grey stone that extend some 60 feet into the air. Surrounding.
Think of AOT.
Yeah, surrounding these walls is a large moat. And thankfully, because it is still the daytime, the drawbridge is down, and people are passing over the drawbridge. So occasionally, you have trading, people who have trade are passing through and giving, having to deal with their papers and everything.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
And as you walk over the drawbridge, one of the royal guards holds up a hand and says, "Hold a moment." And
as soon as it stops, Sho reaches into the inside of his Howry and pulls out a very fancy letter, a very fancy seal.
Renji just doesn't do anything yet.
Yeah.
And proceeds to just show it to God.
So has a look at the seal, inspects it slightly, gives a nod, and says, "Okay, official business. You may go inside."
Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Hyrule Castle Town. And I'll move
Renji's
you over.
going to follow Sho.
To move you over to here, which is the.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah. So this is a very shoddily done basic idea of the districts in Hyrule Castletown, which Renji and Sho would be aware of, but not so much Hikan or Tyrina. The district, you have the West Residential and the East Residential district. You have the purple area down here, which is the slums. The south yellow area is the commercial district, and to the north in the red, which is the way you're coming in through, is the noble district. As you enter in, you can see flanking you on either side these big estate buildings, tall, opulent. The streets themselves, despite the rain, is like this very finely made, finely laid cobblestone pathways. There are trees flanking the roads, and the majority of the people who are walking around here are very finely dressed. But not a lot of people are walking around, as you would imagine, because it is currently raining like hell.
We might see some noble man trying to rush through the rain in a nice fancy coat.
Probably not this side of town.
Question, which gate did we come through?
The north gate.
Oh, right, so we are in the noble district.
Yes.
Yes. As
Nobles
you
aren't going under, and they have people to do that for.
as you progress downwards, the three scholars move in front of you and say, unless you have any other business that you would need to take care of in town, perhaps you would like to follow us to Lord Simeon's estate, so we can sort out this matter of rewards and things.
Indeed.
I think that's a good idea.
Hikan's paying half attention as his head has not stopped moving as he's trying to look at everything at once.
It's like, oh,
Oh dear. Yeah, it's nice. It's compared to where you've been before. It feels both immense and spacious, but also incredibly claustrophobic. Even with the smaller amount of people in this area who are, because of the weather, it's still like very closed in by comparison.
I can't walk around the buildings easily. I can walk around trees easily.
Yeah.
It's claustrophobic.
So as the scholars lead you down the pathways, they lead you on the main road, and
Sorry about that.
that's okay.
I tried to get rid of them.
That's all right. They lead you down the main road and then immediately take you to the right and down a further set of, like a smaller road, passing more estates and everything until eventually they come across this one large building. It seems to be 3 floors. It's kind of a mansion-esque area, but it's still put in between all these different other bigger buildings. And there are a couple of very finely dressed, clearly royal guards flanking either side of the door. And I'll put a star on the map so you know exactly where in the city it is.
Thank you.
And as you enter in, or the scholars move in through the front gate and speak to the guards, and as they do, the front door flies open, and everyone present, like, immediately taken aback as this young woman in kind of a very practical purple and black dress exits through the door with this other gentleman behind her, and she's already storming off. She's clearly quite upset.
Sho steps back.
Renji would have had his hand on the hilt of his sword and then let go as he sees this woman.
Sho doffs his hat for a brief moment as the lady walks by.
Yeah. There's a rather diminutive looking helper behind her trying to hastily unfurl an umbrella and just try and like follow her behind. Renji and Sho, you would recognize this as Lady Risha. She is the noble in charge of the city's defense and basically the war minister of Hyrule.
Hence the handle.
Yeah.
I will say, Lady Risha, pleasure. And
she completely blanks you and
She's
just
like-
continues on.
Gone.
fair enough.
Just gone.
From when the door slammed open, Hikan's been in a defensive stance with his staff at the ready since.
It's just
This time it is Renji to put a hand on Hikan's shoulder. It's fine, don't worry.
yeah.
You see him relax a little.
Yeah. Tyrina's kind of watching all this transpire, and it's like, well then, okay.
As she's very clearly out of earshot, puts his hat back on, and is like, that firecracker of a young woman is one of the lords of Castle.
Oh. Well, that's interesting.
Funnily enough, Minister of War.
Oh.
She's filling in for her father, Lord Grastel. He's been away for some time.
Huh. All right then. And
Lord Simeon, he like gestures to the house. Is like, he's the current magistrate of education. I studied under him for some time.
the government here is already confusing to me. I'll have to have some time to adjust, I'm sure.
Oh, believe me, it gets way too asinine, even for my taste.
And then there's the whole Sheikah politics as well. It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, there's internal politics within other internal politics, which has weight within the world decisions and here and there and whatnot.
Very well. And as this is all going on, eventually the scholars have finished talking to the flanked guards, and they say, come on in out of the rain. We can wait in the lobby while we speak to the noble." And they lead you all inside out of the rain. And you're brought into this lobby area, which is fairly well decorated, fairly opulent in its own right, though compared to some of the other nobles that a couple of you might have seen, or in any case what expectations you might have, it still seems fairly conservative. There's a couple of pictures, there are a couple of fancy ornaments, some plants.
I go to touch the ornaments.
Alright.
As soon as shows up, he's like, do not.
Like, normally Renji would be the troublemaker, but then it's like, no. Don't see where this leads.
We're in Castletown. Renji's off the hook today.
Do not touch the stuff that is worth more than our lives.
Hikan slowly pulls his hand away, looking at Sho to see when he turns.
The spider crawls out of him and sits on his shoulder, turned to face him. It's like,
Sho, are you sure you should leave that spider out for someone of a weaker constitution to see?
It's not the big ones that attacked us in the basement.
True, but it's a big one.
Lord Simeon assisted me in making this, learning the spell. I know I prefer to keep him in spider form for its utility.
Well, it's your choice, of course.
There's a brief...
You go.
Okay, there's after a couple of minutes, when one of the scholars, Samson, comes back and peeks his head around the door and says, Lord Simeon will see you now, though be wary, he's not exactly at top energy today.
He never is.
Would I know anything about Lord Simeon's condition?
He's
Guys,
not ill.
busy!
He's not ill, he just stays up late reading. That's literally it.
Right.
He gets like 3 hours of sleep a night because he spends so much of his time reading books, and he never really finishes anything because he keeps getting new bloody books and just keeps reading them.
Okay, just wondering what I would know about him.
Yeah. But as you kind of it pulls you in, and inside you can see in this very messy study, sitting at a desk, is this tall, lanky, pale individual with long black hair, which is not very well kept, but he's got like a kind of dark red, black and gold sort of nobles ensemble, this kind of long coat thing, and around his head he's got a golden circlet, which is the only thing really keeping his hair together, even though it's failing at doing its job. And he's got bags, like massive bags under his eyes, and he looks over and he gives you this smile and says, "Oh, hello. I believe you four must be the individuals who saved my scholar's notes and their lives."
I believe we are, yes.
Good, good. They have given me the brief summary of your exploits, but I believe in certain circumstances, many details could be omitted from, getting to the point. I must say I'm surprised that Sheikah would be so willing to help in certain circumstances, but then I'm not too privy on the political matters or the dedications that you have to the royal family.
Sho does doff his hat and take off his glasses and is like, well, some of us' duties is to patrol on our own time.
Good, good. Right. Well, in any case, regardless of your heritage or creed, or whatever it is, you've done me and my staff a great service. So I think it is only fair. Smith, and a elderly man comes in, very finely dressed, comes in with like a box. Seems very much like an Alfred type character, very, very refined butler type person. Mm-hmm. Comes in with a fairly sizable chest.
He's very good at butling.
He's very good at butling. You can't buttle more than this man. And he places the chest down onto the desk, and Simeon slowly opens it up. Simeon himself isn't exactly that old. He's like in his mid-20s, if anything.
Guy's a nerd, though.
Guy's a nerd. And he looks through and he pulls out 4 separate pouches, like leather pouches. He says, I believe that that should cover expenses and activity and adventure. That, I believe, is definitely worth your time and energy. Feel free to take one each.
Hikan shakes his head, realizing that he's being addressed, and from looking around at the various books and stuff, still amazed at the fact that this guy just has this much stuff. And then turns and figures out what's being asked and grabs a pouch.
Okay.
Renji goes second.
Sho takes his.
And Tyrina takes hers.
Hikan looks into his pouch.
After a rough count, you find that your pouch contains 200 gold pieces.
Jeez. Alright.
It says, Lord Simeon looks over and he smiles again and says, well, I would also be willing to help in any capacity. And he pauses a moment and says, actually, I would be most appreciative if you were to come back later this evening, possibly to join me and maybe a guest or two with some dinner.
Well, I don't think we should not acquiesce to your request, Lord Simeon.
Good, good. Well, let me see. And he takes out of his pocket something and clicks it, and it looks more or less like a pocket watch. He looks there and says, well, perhaps in the next, let's say, it'll be another, what time is it? He's quite struggling with the things. Okay, so it's 11 o'clock in the morning. How about we go for a dinner of around about 8 o'clock at night, which means that you would have about 9 hours, though, yes. So in about 9 hours' time, feel free to come back and explain. You don't need to get any dressed up or anything like that. It's perfectly fine for you to come as you are. And we'll sit down and have a nice meal and a chat, if possible.
Very well. Hikan, Sho, Tyrina?
Completely fine with me. I need to return to the castle and report anyways.
I suppose I
It's
should.
free food.
Tyrina's like, ditto, free food.
Also, you two get 9 hours to marvel at the town.
How about it, Hikan? Want to go get lost?
Oh boy, I think
That's
almost I should
harder
chaperone
than
them.
you think it is.
Sho does remember off the top of his head. It's like, is Tyrina wearing jewelry?
Yeah, she's wearing standard. She's like got the traditional Gerudo head gem, a couple of earrings, that sort of thing.
In the commercial district, there's a Gerudo jeweler. Her name is Romaine. Give her my regard.
Oh, absolutely. I will. I'll go and give her my regards. Right. Yes. And and as kind of chatter dissipates and everything, and everybody leaves to go about the business, I think we will call that here for a session. And everybody levels up to level 3.
No, wait, shit.
Wrong franchise.
Wrong blonde spiky haired guy. I'm sorry.
Wrong franchise damage!
Wrong franchise damage. I'm gonna roll a D. The worst Final Fantasy game that there is. Roll 1d7. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, fight me. Fight me.
I thought it would be 1d12.
No, 12's better than 7.
Yeah.
At me on Twitter, fuckers. We can debate. It's like the meme. It's like Final Fantasy 7 isn't actually that great. Change my mind.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So everybody's now level 3, which means you get access. Well, one or two of you get access to your archetypes finally. When you say one or two of you, I mean really Hikan, because
I got mine in second.
Renji gets his pact now, like it's pact of the blade / pact of the chain sort of thing.
I get my second level spells.
Yeah.
I get 2 second level spells, and I know exactly which ones they are. But
and Agonizar Scorcher.
Ooh.
Because I want to have a moment where I'm like, okay, and then just like take a nice big drag on the pipe and then just breathe fire. It's like, bah!
Nice.
It's just a 30-foot line of just blowtorch fire.
Okay, and with that, my name has been ArticulateT. I have been the fumbling, bumbling GM, and with me I have had SteveTheSeregios playing Sho Daius.
Disappointed dad. Who's actually not disappointed today? My kids did well.
I've had Alvarance playing Hikancio.
Hello. Goodbye.
And I have had TheNetherlad playing as Renji, son of
Gute Nacht,
Nihilus.
Freunde. Es wird Zeit für mich zu gehen.
And we'll see you again in another 2 weeks. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
This has been Hyrule Chronicles Episode 4. Thank you very much for listening. If you liked it, please leave a comment on the SoundCloud audio that you've been listening to, or alternatively, send me a tweet at ArticulateT, and everything shall be good. I will be trying to get this stuff onto YouTube as soon as possible, so if you're listening to this on YouTube, great success. Otherwise, yeah, I'll be working on that as far as things go with terrible internet. But thank you for listening, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Take care.